And I'll just do that. I'm Ann Berliner, and I'll be the moderator this evening. If you're new to Benicia Literary Arts, we are a nonprofit organization that encourages reading and writing in the area. We do this by creating a community of readers and writers, and by offering events like this, and we have several coming up over the next few months. Please check our website to see the events that are coming. And we also publish works in all genres. This evening, we have a wonderful program planned for you. We have two presenters on publishing online and on promoting online. So the presenters will present about 10 or 15 minutes each. I ask that you just hold your questions until both presenters have finished their talk. You can put questions in chat, or since I can see a hand as well as others can also, so you can just raise your hand at the end. The first presenter will be Karen Mercury. She is a prolific writer with many best-selling books, both on historical and erotic romance novels. She has two very successful series of Bare Bones Motorcycle Club and the Bent Zealots Motorcycle Club. So thank you, Karen, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, okay, this is where I share screen. Yeah. How's that?
Good.
Here we are on the Carquinez Straits.
1 second, Karen, you want to just move it over a little.
Okay. How's that?
I think you want to hit from the beginning in the PowerPoint. Because yeah. Oops.
You want to take it off take the sides.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, there. I hope. Okay, here's this is Karen Mercury, aka Layla Wolf. That's my pen name. I knew I wanted to write books when I was about 3 years old. My mother read aloud to me fairy tales like Hans Christian Andersen, Moritz Zendak, and that awful German cautionary tale, Stoffelpeter. See, there he is. He used to pop out of a closet and he's cutting off that kid's fingers because he chewed his fingernails. We were like, why are you reading this to us? So I think what power there is in words. You write something here in California and someone across the world reads it. They're transported to your world and they see what you write. They're living it. I wanted that power, but one thing, I couldn't read. I believe I put 2 and 2 together, watching over my mother's shoulder as she narrated. When I entered the first grade, I already knew how to read. Kids would be all see, spot, run. And I'd be all see, spot, run down the street and cruise into the kitchen and eat a pot of soup. The only explanation is I figured it out from my mom's tutelage. So yes, read to your kids. Not wanting to publish for fear of bad reviews, I always wrote books just for my own amusement. In 2003, I needed to purchase a house, so of course I figured, let's finally publish. Don't you love how unpublished people think you'll make enough money for that? My first few books were historical fiction set in pre-colonial Africa, not the biggest seller in the world, with an established publisher. I didn't even earn out the $2,000 per book advance. So I reckoned erotic romance was the way to go. So in 2011, I signed with Siren Publishing, and I set out to deliver a book a month, menages with overtones of BDSM. The covers were mortifying, cut and pasted together without forethought, wigs slapped on or erased, as you can see, with horrible fonts all over the place. Fellow writers and I would compare our covers from hell. Mine is worse. My heroine is bearing her breast to a cow. What is going on in these pictures? I'm not really sure. So around 2014, everyone started going indie, uploading their own books directly onto Amazon and beyond. Since I had signed a stupid contract with Siren forbidding me from using my real name, Layla Wolf was born. Frustrated with the limitations Siren put on my characters, heroines couldn't have ever been drunk or be dominant or had prior sex. I created a gritty motorcycle club series where everyone did just that. The Bare Bones MC did very well, so I kept adding books to it. I created a spin-off, the Bent Zealots MC. That was MM, male. I started out going wide on all the platforms, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple, Google Play. Wayne Goodman can tell you more about that. Because soon I went Amazon exclusive through their KU program. Occasionally I try to put a book wide and see how it did, but for some reason they never performed that well for me. I like the option to put books on free with KU. This really only works if you have more than one book up, ideally more than one in the same series. The theory being that if the person likes the free book, they'll purchase others in the same series. KU also works to get traction, to get sucked up in the Amazon algorithm. Their algorithms promote KU books, of course, more energetically than books that are wide. An important item in your publication is your blurb. Most people loathe doing them. I actually love writing blurbs. What a nerd. Make it exciting, something an advertising guy would write. Don't blab on too long. Make it tight using action words. Keywords are very important when you upload. These are mine for the Bare Bones #1. Whatever your genre, there are going to be keywords that pop and drive visibility to you. It's best if you have an outside person format your book. I think Wayne's going to talk about that too. I use a guy on Fiverr who charges me maybe $25. It's totally worth it. I think it's more for the paperback, which is more complex to format. I use a cover artist in Ukraine who charges me about $25. I give her all the elements, the shirtless dudes, the backgrounds, etc., and she makes it all look seamless, not all cut and pasted. So you choose all territories and definitely pick 70%. It'll fill in the other country prices automatically. Then hit publish your Kindle ebook. It takes like 48 hours to go live, often sooner. With romance, most books are on Kindle. Romance readers are so voracious, they don't want paperbacks clogging up their rooms. So I've gone from the snail book method of selling books in malls to the instant gratification of seeing your books and pages read in real time. The wonders of modern science. Another little trick I recently learned is that you can ask the KDP tech people to add more categories to your books. Pick more obscure categories because your book will stand out more, say in Kindle ebooks, mystery, thriller, suspense, crime fiction, heist, than in Kindle romance contemporary, where there's a zillion books fighting for space. In your KDP account, you go to the Contact Us form, which is here. And beforehand, gather categories from books similar to yours. Look at the bottom of, say, a Robin Schoen book. You'll see her categories. Victorian erotica, literature and fiction. You can see there's a zillion books in there. And if you click on these categories, you'll see a list on the left-hand side of the page. See, there's Robin, my old idol. And then these are all the categories that will be on that page. And Robin is down there in Victorian. So it gets real specific, and that's what you want to do. So you have to tell KDP exactly the format that you want it to be in, the link. Kindle store, Victorian, and pick 7 more categories. You're allowed to have 10. You have 2 to begin with, so you're allowed to add 8 more. I have a monthly newsletter that goes out currently to 11,000 people. They all had to double opt in, so they're there on purpose, mostly to get free books, I'm sure. I use MailerLite to handle my subscriber list that comes from BookFunnel, where you post free books to lure subscribers. Each month's newsletter, I have a book on free they can get, and I also post links to my new releases where sales spike during the newsletter run. And then I have a guy on Fiverr who I pay like $7 a month to add my free book to his own newsletter. And it does everything from cookbooks to religious texts. And Love Kissed, another 15 to add my freebie to their romance newsletter. So look around on Fiverr for your own genre to promote. With MailerLite and BookFunnel, you join hands with other promoters who run promotions like this. You gain click-through rates that build your reputation. Here's a few samples of my types of promos. But yours might be a little more conservative. And then, of course, you have to make your own personal website. I use Blogspot for mine. That's free. And then link people back to it in your newsletter. And make a great author photo. I used AI for this one here, which is the one I use on my Amazon author page. You need them for everything: Instagram, Google, Goodreads, BookBub, everywhere. And start a profile on BookBub. It's becoming stronger and more visible every day. Goodreads used to be very hot, but I hardly ever look at that anymore. I don't know about you guys. I think Amazon bought it, so they automatically put your books on Goodreads when you upload to Amazon. You can also post your new release book link in many Facebook groups that seem appropriate for your genre. I know all the romance groups. I included some non-romance Facebook links to the Word doc that we're going to post later on the Benicia Lit site. So I hope this gave everybody some info and questions so I can give this back to Dr. Berliner and Wayne Goodman. There.
Thank you, Karen. And questions will come later. That was excellent. Good intro for us to start asking you questions on. So Wayne tends towards historical fiction with the focus on LGBTQ characters. His most recent publication is Lazarus in St. Petersburg. Wayne also is a host of Queer Words podcast, conversations with queer identified authors about their works and lives. So thank you, Wayne. Yeah, and Sam, can you unmute him? Yeah.
You have to unmute yourself. I can't do it.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Anne and Benicia Literary Arts. I'm so happy to be here. And Lois, I'm sorry, thank you as well. I'm so happy to be here. This is exciting. I did not put together a splashy presentation the way Karen did. I didn't even think about talking about how I got started, but about 40 years ago, I was going to be working in a large law firm in downtown San Francisco as a temp word processor. And somebody said, "It's really slow, bring a book." And I thought, I don't want people to walk in and see me reading. So what I did is, for those of you who remember the ancient computers, we had these 8-inch floppy disks to store our documents on. So I purchased my own. And what I did is, instead of reading a book, I started writing a book. So if somebody came in, at least I was typing and doing something that looked like word processing. Since then, I've written a few books. These are the covers of, this is my fake library. This is, I did this in Photoshop. And I started on Kindle about 10 years ago with a book, and I didn't know everything, but I tried it. And got flamed for certain things that I did, but it's a learning experience. And now I've got much better at doing that. So a little bit more about me. I have a podcast, and I'm going to put the information in the chat. It's called Queer Words, and it is conversations with queer identified authors about their works and lives. And there are the various ways that you can access it. I always tell people queerwords.org is the best because it's a cafeteria style. You'll see pictures of the authors and a little blurb about them, and so you can choose whom you wish to listen to. Each podcast lasts between 15 and 25 minutes. I make it accessible. It doesn't, some podcasts you probably listen go for an hour, and I'm thinking, after 25 minutes, I don't care how good that person is. I really don't want to listen to them anymore. So I try to keep it short and concise. But the thing that we're here to talk about, oh, by the way, if you have any friends who are queer identified authors and have published works and would like, or if you are a queer identified author and would like to be on the podcast, the email is there. So you can write me or have your friend write me. The other thing I want to talk about is I'm typing here. Okay, that is my email for my business. And as Karen was
Excuse
mentioning,
me, Wayne, just a minute.
Yes, Lois.
Just a minute. Sam, I think he should be on the speaker.
He's on the,
Right.
he's on the spotlight.
Oh, he isn't on my screen. Fix that.
I don't know why.
Oh, Lois, you have to choose speaker on
So
your
now he's-
own screen.
Now he's not on the spotlight. And now he is on
Oh,
the spotlight.
There, hello.
That change anything, Lois? Anyway, go ahead, Wayne. I think you're all right.
Oh, okay. So as Karen was saying, what I do is format books for people to upload online. And generally, ebooks are much easier to format. The nice thing about ebooks is you don't have an inventory. You don't have a box of books sitting in your corner that you have to hand to people. Although it's still nice to have a book to sign at a reading, people can buy the ebooks much easier than the paperbacks. Many of the conventions for ebooks aren't well known. And through trial and lots of error, I have crafted the patterns that I use, and I set up other people's ebooks. I also do that for print books. And as Karen was mentioning, Kindle is not your only avenue online. There are many, many electronic book sales possibilities. But what I do is I go to what's called an aggregator or a distributor. And I started with Smashwords, and they've been acquired by Draft to Digital. And both of those systems, once you upload your work to them, they then spread it out to Nook, Kobo, Barnes and Noble, Scribed, Apple, the iTunes, Google Books. So as wonderful as Kindle can be, if you want to get your books more widely distributed, you might want to work with an aggregator or a distributor. Oh, thanks, Karen. There are some advantages to having your book on Kindle, especially when you first bring it out. If you had just on Kindle and no other sites, there are some bargains and deals you can do with Kindle that you can't do if you are non-exclusive and have your books on other sites. Now, as far as printing, early on, I spoke to a bookshop, an independent bookshop owner, and asked about using Kindle's, at that time it was called Create Space, and I know it's changed names. And he says, no, don't do that. If you have paperbacks that are printed through Kindle, Amazon, independent bookstores will not carry them because it's competitive. a lot of the small stores feel that Amazon has taken over the market. So they don't want to help their competitor by having Amazon printed books. So I said, well, what should I use? And he informed me of Ingram Spark. And they are probably the largest print on demand service available. It's not the easiest system to use, but it does work. You upload files, they charge you for setting it up, and then you can order books from that. Also, people can go into bookstores, and if they have your name, your book title, or your ISBN, they can just order it, and the bookstore will send for that, and it'll get sent to the bookstore. But that's down the road. And I will tell you, paperbacks are a loss for me. I've never made money on a paperback. Ebooks, somewhat, but for me, the biggest seller is audiobooks. But they've just changed the pricing, so I think that's going to dampen the market for authors a little bit. Audiobooks can be really expensive to produce, but for me, they cost me just time because I do my own. I read my own. I learned how to edit audio. Doing audiobooks and a podcast becomes pretty natural for me. And again, there are lots of industry standards you have to conform to get an audiobook loaded. But once you get it online, people can access it directly, and libraries lend it out. You might get about $1 a piece for an audiobook, but if somebody buys it, it could be anywhere between $10 and $20, depending on how it's priced. And I found that has been the most lucrative in book sales for me, has been the audiobooks over time. Now, if you have a book and you want to have it set for ebook or print, you can write me at my email, and that's what I do. My basic fee is $50 per professional clock hour, and I could edit, I can copy edit, I can format so that you get your files back and then you upload it to the sales. And I did forget to mention with audiobooks, there are also aggregators and distributors there. I use Findaway Voices. That tends to have the best distribution. It is difficult, I will say, to format books for other people to read. It may look right to you on your screen, but the problem with ebooks is you never know what it's going to look like on somebody else's screen, and you have to format it in a very generic way so that no matter who reads it, what size their tablet or computer is, what font they choose, what size they choose, it flows naturally and all the pictures are in the right places, and can be a real nightmare. As you see, I have a few titles to my name. Some of them are duplicated, so it makes it look, but I also, this is an anthology for a group that I work with, the Bay Area Queer Writers Association. And this is our, we do this as a fundraiser. Every year we put out an anthology. And this last year I published, I don't know, it's hard. There's really type, there we go. Yeah, there's type on the pages. And that's what I do. And I guess I will turn it back over to Dr. B for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. So we're happy to take questions. I'm going to just start it off with a couple of questions. I think both of you have covered this slightly, but perhaps you can go back over it. One about creating a website, whether you pay someone to create your website, do you do your website on your own? And also whether you use the more popular social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter and these kinds of things to promote your work, and if so, how do you put it there? So if you're to address the question of website and the question of the more normative social media sites.
You know, I really think that you should make your own website, because the very first time I did it, I had some chick do it for me. And there was so much back and forth, like, can you move this paragraph over like a half an inch? And so much of that minutia involved with it that it was so much easier to do myself. Blog site or blogger isn't really totally user friendly, but I think it's pretty easy to get the picture, literally.
Yeah, I'm horrible at promotion. Karen, you're a wizard. I started out by using WordPress and making a blog, and that's fairly simple and it's free. You can have your own author page. And then I graduated to a paid subscription for my podcast. So queerwords.org is a proprietary website that's specifically for my podcast that I purchased through WordPress. They make it pretty easy. I don't know about designing a website.
Yeah,
But,
blogging, I remember doing that. That was the thing to do back in the days. And you pretty much don't really do that anymore because like nobody looks at blogs anymore. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah, because it's instant gratification. I mean, TikTok, that's what people want. Split second, or even Vellum or Vella, Kindle's new couple paragraph chapter at a time book sales things.
Right. I haven't tried that yet. I've asked some people about how they like it when they've done it, and nobody has much good to say about it. About Vella.
Could I answer Kenneth's question, Anne?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Kenneth. As an example, I'm currently working.
Wait, why don't you read the question first? Maybe.
Oh, sorry.
Seen it.
If you're not reading the chat, Kenneth asked me if I would also contract to narrate and or edit someone else's audiobook. Currently, I'm doing that with Lee Eric Berry, who is a member of our Outlaws writing group. He asked if I would narrate that. I've narrated other books. It can be very expensive for an author to have a narrator do the books. Generally, I think the rate was $35 per 1,000 words. So if you got a 60,000 word novel, that's a lot of money. But when you pay the narrator, you get a finished product, hopefully, and you own it. And everything you make from that is yours. There's also a royalty share. Some narrators will agree to do all of that work at no cost, but then they get 50% of the royalties that come in. What I try to do is make it easier on both of us. I ask for a set amount up front, a couple $100, and a quarter of the profits as they come in, so that it makes it easier for both of us to get something for all the work that we've both done. Kenneth, just write to me, and if you have a book for me to narrate, be happy to work on that with you.
Any questions, other questions that people might have that people want to ask?
I see Lois's question
Okay, let me just see here.
about KDP.
Lois wrote her question in here.
Do you want me to just ask it?
Yeah, just ask it, Lois.
Okay, I wondered if either one of you had been part of the monthly payout from Amazon via KDP, and does it restrict you from selling other places?
Yeah, exactly. That's the KU agreement that you make, that you can't go wide, you can't go on other platforms. And also with Amazon, I hate them being a monopoly, but you're kind of stuck with it, everybody's familiar with that, right, Wayne? I don't even read their monthly emails where they act like they're giving you more, because each month it seems like it's a smaller and a smaller percentage, and they're taking a bigger and bigger percentage. But like I said, they're the only game in town as far as, maybe it's for romance.
Well, no, I get a pittance every so often just for having my books on KDP or
really?
Yeah, even if nobody reads them,
Is
if you're
that what
part of
Lois
the
meant?
pool, you get a few cents. I imagine you get more if people actually read your books.
Oh, I didn't know you got part of the pool just from being there.
Yeah, it's down in the fine print.
And that's for if you go KDP exclusive?
Yeah, is it Kindle Unlimited? Yeah, you have to be exclusive on Kindle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I didn't get that pittance yet.
you haven't gotten it either, Carly?
Not the pittance just for having my book existing.
Oh, well,
Maybe
maybe
But
somebody
I'm not-
actually
I'm not
read my book
exclusive,
and I don't
though.
know it.
Oh, you're not exclusive.
Yeah, so that explains it.
You have to be exclusive, Wayne, to get that pittance?
Yes, that's part of the agreement. If you choose to be in Kindle Unlimited or whatever that program is, you specify that you're only selling that ebook.
It's like a
on-
Chase savings account. You get 60 cents a month,
Maybe I don't remember what I get.
$50,000 in there.
No, it's not much, but it's better than nothing.
0.02.
I have a follow-up.
You muted yourself, Lois. Yeah. You have, yeah.
Okay, so I read Writers Weekly occasionally, and they were saying that certain authors were removed from KDP without an explanation from Amazon. They did not get their royalties and they can't sell it anyplace else. And these people are talking about a class action suit. Have you heard anything about this or?
I haven't.
mean, it,
Oh,
yeah, because I thought I was gonna probably
Well, Lois-
publish there, but
Just making something up here. I imagine that they have a terms of use.
yeah,
And
oh yeah,
the
they have a
person
contract.
violated it.
Well, that's what the person said, that they didn't give them any reason. Now, I don't know any more than that, so.
Yeah, because there's certain things you can't say in a book, and maybe
Right,
they said
right.
that, or they had explicit pictures on the cover. I'm sure well, I'm guessing, I should say, that there is some reason why they chose to do that.
Yeah.
Karen, do you have any idea? You're muted.
no, I'm Googling that shit right now because that sounds pretty intriguing. Yeah, Lois, like post a link or something if you hear about it again.
Okay, yeah, I saw, Writers Weekly is just, a newsletter that I get, that I've gotten for years, and, you know, you don't know, there could be more to it than I know, so.
Anne, may I talk about something related?
Go ahead.
One of the things that really helps us is if people leave a review, because there is a protocol with Amazon. If you get, I think it's more than 30 reviews, you get extra promotion. However, I do want to caution people on my latest book, Lazarus in St. Petersburg. Somebody clicked on the 2 stars, left no explanation of why. They just clicked, and once you get a review, Amazon will not take it off. I've had this experience before. Somebody left me a totally bogus 1-star review, and I asked them, and nothing's ever happened. Thankfully, my friends at the Outlaws, I appealed to them, and they're better angels, and they all wrote 5-star reviews for me. So that brought me back up to 4 point something. The review thing online, it can be really horrendous. It's blessing and a curse, 2-edged sword, however you want to put it. That isn't a cliche, but this does happen. And I've seen posts on Facebook recently from fellow authors who say, if you really want to thank an author, leave a good review on a website somewhere. That is the best way to support an author. So I just want to put that out. And of course, I'm guessing most of us here are authors. So hopefully you've heard this before, and tell your friends.
Yeah, that's a new feature that they just started doing, 6 months ago, where they let people just put a star rating without actually any words in there. And I noticed it really made people's star rating go down, because they just go through and they say, rate all this crap you bought, like this cat collar and this dog bowl, and you're all 1, 1, 1, 1. I think that must be what people do. And then there's a book right in the middle, which is totally different from a dog bowl, you know.
Yeah.
A dog bowl's either broken or it's not. There's not like an opinion on what the shade of the orange was.
Yeah.
Like
And
this
I would
was
accept a 2-star review if somebody put why they wrote
Yeah.
that.
Right, right.
I read the book and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I understand.
This is for me, or I don't like or yeah,
Or
exactly.
it's about Russia and we hate
I
Russia.
hate Russia, yeah.
Exactly. It's like,
Right. Then you can ignore it. I
What
don't even.
about putting your work on other platforms? Like, do you put it on Instagram or Twitter or any of these major platforms?
You mean that we promote?
Advertise. Do you advertise on these other platforms?
I haven't used Twitter since Elon Musk took over. I never used it that much before. I mostly go Facebook. Yeah, I guess I'm too old for that TikTok crap. Which ones do you use, Wayne? He looks like he's
Well-
about to make a demonstration.
yeah. I have tried using Amazon's sales thing. It's a little tricky. I've never gotten sales from it, but people do look and they do click. That's something.
You mean where you
Um,
pay for the ad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I've never
construct
used
an
that.
ad.
Where's
The
that?
toughest thing is trying to describe your book in, I think, 50 characters or something. It's ridiculously small. You really hones your writing skill.
I love doing
The problem I had was with Facebook. On Amazon, people can look at your ad, and if they don't like the book, they'll click on something else. On Facebook, however, they have the ability to tell you what a horrible person you are. Last year, towards the end of the year, I put up an ad I have a series of books that are retellings of historical gay first novels. And I put up a post and marketed it saying, this is a great idea if you have a LGBTQIA reader, you can get them this set of books to read. Most people smiles, hugs, but there were several people who put nasty comments or bad icons, and I blocked them and removed the comments. I didn't get any sales from it either. So my experience so far has been that the online is not worth advertising through Amazon or Facebook. I don't know. Have you had a different experience, Karen? And you're muted.
I've never paid, I'm so old-fangled. I remember the old adage, money flows toward the writer, not away from the writer, which is, I'm sure, is too old-fangled. Nowadays, you do have to pay. So I've never done either one of those, paid money, but I haven't heard anything good, positive from other writers I know who have paid.
Yeah.
And then when it
Oh.
said it's really worth a damn.
May I respond to Lois's question?
Go ahead. I was just gonna read it, but go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You read it and I'll respond.
Okay, this is from Lois. Do you get paid if people read just a few pages of your book?
Yes, there is a process they call normalization. And if you look at your statistics, it'll tell you if somebody read part of your book. And if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you do get paid for that. And maybe that's why I'm getting the pittance, because people looked at 1 or 2 pages and decided not to buy the book. But yes, it's not much, but it's that's it. Thank you. The normalized pages.
Yeah.
Thank
What
you,
does the
Karen.
E stand for, though? Kindle E. It's KENP.
Exciting normalized pay. I don't know.
Other questions? Are there other, I can always call on people and throw me back into being a professor again.
I think Jim's raising his hand.
Yeah,
Jim,
Wayne,
yes.
Wayne, could you go back over the aggregator distributor comments that you were making earlier?
Absolutely. So for ebooks, the main distributor right now is called Draft to Digital, and Karen put that website
Yeah.
in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
For audiobooks, the one that I use, I guess I should type it here for you. Is Findaway Voices. So I didn't know if it was the audiobooks or the ebooks you were looking for.
Either one.
Okay, so that's what I do. You set up an account, you link it to a bank account or a PayPal account, and when you start selling, that's where they put the money.
Got
And
it.
they'll distribute it. Like I said, Draft to Digital and Smashwords before it hit all of the big ebook distributors. And Findaway does the same thing with audiobooks.
Mhm.
Apple, iTunes, Google Play, Audible, and Scribed. I know there's a bunch more, but I just don't know them offhand.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So
Audiobook.com.
so what you do is if your manuscript is done, you've had it edited, you've had it formatted, you're in a final stage with your manuscript, you can contact Draft to Digital, set up an account, and they can handle the distribution of that.
Correct. You upload a cover and the material,
Yeah.
and they take it from there.
Okay. That's interesting.
And
Okay.
it's free. They don't charge anything for it. They take
Right.
their charge when they sell the book. You
Huh.
get a percentage of the sale price.
Thanks. That's good.
Yeah. And if you need formatting, you saw my email. I do poetry.
Like your background, Karen. Changed it. Other questions? Anybody else of a
David's got
question?
his hand up.
Oh, let me see, David. Yes, David, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, so I've have a couple of books up on Amazon, and they've had pretty good reviews, but I'm absolutely stumped at how to get people to the publicity aspect, how to get there, because I'm just starting out.
Karen, this is your department. You're
Yeah.
muted.
I know there's a reason for that because I'm going. Ah. Well, I think I had a leg up because erotic romance kind of like sells itself, and then in Facebook there's a zillion ER groups too. What's your genre? Oh, you're muted now.
Oh, it's like let's see, I guess fantasy, science fiction. I'm working on a Halloween, the illustrated story now, to hopefully be out by Halloween. But what I have is just adventure, fantasy, science fiction, and what I have is what I have is like a fan magazine, which has actually had
Well, that
consistent if slow sales.
sounds pretty saleable. I mean, I've had luck with Facebook. You must know a lot of groups on there, sci-fi groups, fantasy groups,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go in and post your Amazon link for the book.
Now, David, did you say your books are on Amazon?
Yes.
Or yeah,
Are you comfortable with the nuts and bolts of marketing?
No.
Okay.
You said that their sales didn't pay for itself, and I found out one guy who does it's a public relations company, and what he does, I don't know how he does it, but he gets people, he builds a Twitter audience for you, and focus on people who read books and like writing reviews. And it was amazing. It was in 2 months he did get me from 0 to 2,000 followers.
Wow. How much does that cost?
It's like $60 a month. So it was like, let's say, that was worth it, because it would take me like a long time to contact 2,000 people. But he has his list, and people, they kind of like, there are lots of authors out there, and they kind of review each other's books, and
Yeah, well,
it's good.
In the
but
past, I'm
and
sorry.
that led to the a few good reviews on Amazon. But I know I don't have a bestseller on my hand, but because it is a niche audience, but people like it, so I think more people would like it if they knew about it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're making more money than me. In the past, authors would
not
go on,
enough for coffee, really, but not money.
Authors would go on what's called a blog tour. When your book
Mhm.
comes out, you make an appointment with somebody who gets you on like dozen or so blog sites that people who read books go to.
I was gonna say
And
when I was talking about blogs that people don't do blog tours.
but people, yeah, exactly. People don't.
Nobody
But
reads the
the
blog.
reason I asked you about the nuts and bolts is there is a product that Amazon sells called KDP Rocket, or maybe Amazon doesn't sell. Somebody sells it, but it integrates with Amazon. It's a little expensive, but what it can do is it helps you select the keywords that Karen was talking about so that people will select your book, and it will help you choose categories, and it will show you if you put your book in a category where it would fall in sales and whatnot. It's a bit of a learning curve, but I found it really helpful for picking keywords that would draw attention to my books. So I'll just put that out there for you and other people who use
That's a good
Amazon.
tip.
Yeah, and if you want to try doing your own marketing, look up KDP Rocket. And you could
Okay,
see
maybe-
there's videos, shows you what it does, and maybe you'll be better at it than I am.
Maybe it's just yeah.
Publisher.
Yeah, I'm just starting out, so it's hard. So I'm too close to tell. I mean, I think it's a great book, but
Well,
it's
on Thursday nights, the
Mhm.
Outlaws meet. If you want to join a writing group.
Thank
Uh,
you, Ed. Thank you for your question.
well, sure. What's this Outlaws?
Uh, it's a group that meets on Thursday night. You can find it on Meetup. If you go to Meetup, it's called Benicia Outlaws. You can find it there.
Okay.
Thanks. Another question. Someone, let me see.
I don't know, Karen. I
never heard of it before. Oh,
get. Oh, that's a review of it.
yeah, but it should have the link.
Yeah.
I never heard of it.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So have either one of you, let's see, I guess you're both, would you call it self-published? Or have you haven't gone to any publishing houses, large or small or online to be published that way?
Not recently, no.
No, publishing has changed so much. I think
Right.
that the media has done us a huge disservice. These old movies where somebody sits down at a typewriter and they come up with this pack of paper and they give it to a publisher and the publisher hands them a check for $1 million. I mean, it's such a fantasy.
I'll buy a
Publishers,
house.
yeah, publishers do almost nothing these days for authors. You'll be lucky if they copy edit for you. They want a prepared manuscript that they can just crank out. Getting an advance is almost unheard of, and marketing, unless you have a name,
Yeah.
if you walk in and you're John Grisham, of course they'll work with you.
It's
But
who
if
knows
you're John Smith, all you're
But
going to get
even-
is basic distribution.
Even Stephen King went directly and published. He got very frustrated with the whole publishing industry and then uploaded his book directly online. And even Margaret Atwood has done that also. I mean, they both, you would think that either of them can command whatever they want,
Yeah.
but they got frustrated with it. Yeah.
You might consult a literary agent because they'll tell you right away. I have a friend who is a literary agent, and he represents people who write nonfiction books. And I had been talking about writing one. He said, well, write me a proposal, which was easy because I published his book on how to write a proposal to a literary agent. It was great. I followed all his rules. And he said, this is a great idea. It'll never sell. So it's nice to have that feedback from somebody who knows the market. He called it a craft book. It was about writing and using psychologically based systems to craft characters. Sounded interesting to me, but he said, unless you're a big name person, nobody's going to buy it.
Exactly.
And that's sort of the reality these days.
Mhm.
So it seems to me that you're saying that you don't really need an agent. I mean, that it's not, that's also antiquated to. the
Well,
idea of getting
it's
an-
helpful because if that person accepts your work, they can get into a publishing industry much better than you can by sending your unsolicited manuscript. Because at least the publisher knows that the agent knows what they're doing.
Ken, why don't you make your comment? It's hard for, why don't you?
He's in the library, he can't talk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For a
So
nonfiction.
Ken is is writing in chat. I work for a publisher of nonfiction. There are a lot of authors between Grisham and John Smith who are working with publishers. Thank goodness. But the more of a following you have or standing in your field, the more likely to get signed. That you
Absolutely.
platform with you, that
Yeah.
you are able to bring a platform with you. Do you have any other comments to Ken's comment that you want to make?
No, I think he put it pretty well. That's because he's such a good writer.
Yes, and Carly added also, it's all about the platform, especially nonfiction, right? You know, we're waiting for Dr. Fauci to write a book.
With nonfiction, you know, because you're looking for you know, publishers are looking for credibility because you're, you know, telling them how to do something or you know, that kind of thing. So you have to be an informational expert.
Yeah, you have to be outstanding in your field.
Mm-hmm. But there's always ghostwriting too.
Any other questions that I'm not seeing? Anybody else has some question that they want to ask?
There's another level of publishing, small publishers, small indie publishers that are proliferating. There are more and more of them all the time, and they are very approachable, and they're very courteous, and they're very anxious to gather. You know, if you find them, especially the newer ones. They're responsive to your needs compared to the larger businesses and the higher order of publisher. And I find that it pays to search them out, either using you know, search engines like Dutrope or those similar kind of tools. And if you're interested in that kind of a direction with your publishing, it's a good resource. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, I have a
What are
friend
the
in the East Bay.
benefits of doing that? How do you bet? What's the benefit of doing that as opposed to going indie on your own?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Karen. It's a personal opinion. If there's if you don't have an interest in getting acquainted with an organization, and what I find interesting about it is I like to get acquainted with these people and become sort of a part of their organization and be a I don't know. It's just sort of like a family that participates together in putting your book together. There aren't any advantages in it. Most of them will not do any copy editing. Most of them will not do much marketing at all. But I like the fact that they're interested in you. They
Yeah.
have you as a character, as a client, you might say, and almost on a professional basis, like a doctor or something like
Yeah,
that.
as an example, I have a friend in the East Bay, J.K. Fowler. 10 years ago, he started Nomadic Press.
Yeah,
they
I know
publish-
Nomadic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they mostly publish chapbooks, but they publish small novellas every so
Mhm.
often.
Mhm.
And that is exactly what you described. It is like a family.
Mhm.
You become
Yeah.
part of their family, for lack of a better word. And they
Yeah.
do promotions, they do readings. In fact, my partner and I used to do an in-person reading series called Perfectly Queer. And we worked with JK where we would go into his space and bring authors to read.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a nice small indie press in the Bay Area, I would heartily recommend Nomadic Press.
Very good.
And your family takes a percentage of your profits. Typical.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You have to support them.
Right. Right.
Support
They're
them.
bogarting off you.
What, I'm gonna ask.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand, and so
It's
I'm kind
okay.
of,
Go ahead, Becky.
Nomadic Press unfortunately just announced that they're going out of business, so
You've
I'm
ruined my
really
evening, Becky.
sad to announce that, but I just, because I was considering
Uh,
sending them a compilation of poetry.
I
and-
have not heard that yet.
Yeah,
Well,
and
I
so
won't be
they're,
surprised when I
they're
read that.
continuing, they're kind of staggering throughout the year. They're gonna have some award things that they're involved with. They will continue with that. But they basically decided they're not gonna be publishing any longer.
Wow,
Really
that's too bad.
sad.
Because so many of my friends have had their works published through them.
Mhm, me too, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, thank you for that.
Jim, if you're saying something for us, we didn't hear you.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that that's one of the drawbacks of indie publishing is that you never know what you're going to find yourself into. I've had indie publishers die on me. I've had indie publishers who've had bad weather and they lost power and their whole process came to a stop. It's a crapshoot in many cases because they're working out of a house or they're working out of a small building or something. It's not like working in a in a business or an industry.
Can you say that search engine again, Jim, that we're looking for independent publishers that you mentioned?
Oh, well, there are lots of them. My favorite is Dutrope, Duotrope.
Okay.
Right. Author Publish is another one. What's another one? I can't. I'll write a couple down on the chat when I think about it.
Okay.
And I wanted to say that, yeah, Jim is, I think, kind of an expert or close to it on these smaller publishers because he's researched it quite a bit. So he's a good resource for that. Benicia Literary Arts is a publisher. You shouldn't forget that. And they are, if they look at your work, they and I think Mary was here. She's the editor-in-chief, but they look seriously at things and ironically, if it seems like it has merit, they will do edit and work with you to bring it to until it's refined and ready to go. So now we're little, of course, we're advances, none of that kind of stuff, but I'm just at the point that I'm looking to what to do with a memoir. And if I figure I turn 84 this month, if I want to try to get into one of the big five, it might take longer than I have to live. Well, it might to get an agent or a publisher takes unless you're very lucky. And even if they accept you, it can take quite a long time to get it actually published. And then you get a few cents for each one you sell. So there isn't any easy way. But anyway, there are various ways to do it, but there isn't any really easy way.
Remember those days when you had to like snail mail and you couldn't do subbing, simultaneous submissions. You had to do one at a time. And sometimes it took like 6 months for them to get back to you and say, no, we don't want it. So a lot of the time, by the time you got someone saying yes, it would be like out of date or not even applicable anymore.
And Lois brought up an interesting point I'd like to address, that if you self-publish, and I'll just talk about my experience with Ingram. If somebody buys my book through Ingram, I get about $1. Even if the cover price is $15, because they sell it at a discount because they're selling it to a retailer most of the time. So that brings it down to about $7.50. And then they have to charge you for printing. And by the time they get through with all their charges, it's about $1. That's what you get if somebody buys your paperback from the distributor.
But don't they have a kind of help for publicity?
Ingram, no. It's
No?
just a print on demand service. You tell them what book you want and how many you want and where you want it delivered. That's it.
that's who Benicia Literary Arts uses. Now I ran into someone just a day or two ago who told me that if you're lucky enough to get a book reading at Borders or any of the few big companies who still, I guess even Bookshop Benicia could do it. If they order 100 of your books and they only sell 50, they can return the other 50. Whereas if you're doing it on your own, you have to guess ahead of time, buy the 100 and hope to sell the 100.
Yeah, but you have to be careful with returns,
Right.
because you
Oh.
you might get stuck with them. If somebody buys
Right.
your book and they send 50 back, you either have to pay for them to have them delivered to your place or have the publisher destroy them. It
Oh, well,
can
that
get
is,
pretty nasty.
I was so shocked when
this
I found
fellow
that
said
out
that-
that they actually shred them, or what's that called, Wayne, when they destroy them? There's a word for that.
Shred
No, there's a word in the publishing
or
industry.
destroy.
Yeah, destroy.
But yeah, I would love to see Elizabeth. I think it's Elizabeth who runs Bookshop Benicia, isn't it?
no, Christine.
Christine, sorry, it's been so long. I wish she would get back into doing in-store readings. I've done a couple
Well,
there. It's a really nice place, but
She's,
her health
well-
went downhill.
Wayne, she's thinking of that. The problem has been the pandemic.
Yeah,
And maybe Lois, you can speak to it more than that, but I know that we've spoken to her.
Yeah,
she is.
we were
right.
planning actually to have one, probably to have one of Jim's books, have a reading there next month. So she is getting back into it.
oh, good. Yeah, because
And
my books used to be on the shelves there.
Uh-huh, yeah. So she definitely can, she will definitely have them, but she's put in a lot of stuff, so she has to move things around, and you do it either at quitting time, like on Sunday at 5 o'clock, or you do it in the evening. You have to do it in certain times that work with her business.
Yeah. Our next event will be Jim reading from source material from his recent publication, Helen and Her Brothers.
Jim, I tried to find you on Amazon, and I guess, I'm like James White, can you post your website, or I couldn't
It's
find you.
it's James W. White. There are so many James Whites as
Yeah.
it's a world of them. But
James W. White
if
on Amazon?
James W, you should be able to come up with something.
I have a question for Becky, if that's okay. I noticed in the
I'm
chat you
muting.
put
Yeah.
Bowker.
Mhm.
I've only known Bowker as a distributor of ISBNs. Did you see
Apparently
other
they
than that?
do, now I've not investigated this thoroughly, but if you go to the website, it looks like they do almost the same stuff that Ingram Sparks does.
Huh. That's where I buy my well, that's where everybody buys their ISBN numbers.
Ingram Sparks also gives ISBN numbers, but
Yeah, but you don't own it.
from the amount of cussing I've heard from Jim in his office, sometimes it can be a bit problematical.
Yeah, I buy ISBNs in bulk, so I've got now more than enough to last me a lifetime.
Mm.
You buy those through Bowker.
Bowker. Yeah.
Mhm.
And here's Jim's web page that he just put on the chat.
Yeah, Karen was asking about that, so I put it up for
You
that.
just issued Helen and Her Brothers?
Yeah.
That's you?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
And we'll have a reading next month on it. Any other questions for our presenters, or any other questions to everybody here?
I want to mention, let's see, I'm up. I want to mention how valuable this was. Wayne, Karen, thank you very much for more than I expected. This was useful, very good work. Thank you.
It was
Well,
actually.
thank you.
They are very well informed and very willing to share their knowledge. And maybe both of you, do you mind putting your emails in chat if people have individual
put it again.
questions? Yeah, Karen, if you'll put,
Yeah.
so that if there'll be individual questions, we're recording this, we're gonna put it on Benicia Literary Arts website for those that couldn't come. There were some questions. Somebody sent a question and they wanted to be able to see it, even though they weren't able to come this evening.
Yeah, sure.
So, wonderful. Thank you both. Thank you, Karen and Wayne and everybody for your participation. And one last thing of questions or things, otherwise.
Well, I just want to thank Benicia Literary Arts for having us and all the wonderful questions and the participation of the group. I look forward to meeting some of you in person.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you can come to our poetry reading at SD.
Mm.
Oh, what'd you say, Karen?
The book release. The book release party, it was around Christmas.
Nooks
Oh,
and
our
Crannies
Christmas
program.
party. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
Christmas and poetry, you weren't able to come to that. That's
Right, Wayne wasn't
able to
there.
come.
Yeah, I wasn't able to make it either.
you know.
Also want to mention, we ought to ultimately get acquainted with our two different workshops. We have a writer's workshop that meets on every other Friday, still in Zoom format, that has a lot of very potentially thrilling writers going on. We're reading. I just wanted to let you outlaws know about it. That involve looking at longer pieces on a chapter by chapter basis.
Oh, that's on Friday.
Anything, Lois, anything else you want to say before we close this evening?
Yeah, I just, we can also start new groups so that we really want to help writers. And so you tell us what you want and we'll try to make it happen. I was actually thinking about starting a blog and now I'm wondering if that's, I wonder if older, I know maybe older people still look at blogs. I don't know, but it was interesting that 2 or 3 of you said, oh, blogs are not used anymore.
Yeah.
He blogged.
No, vlogs are the new thing on YouTube or TikTok.
What are they?
Apparently,
Video logs instead of
Video log.
book logs. They're
Oh,
vlogs.
vlogs.
Carly put it in here, our
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Our
It's all
next-
about getting a YouTube channel.
vlogs.
But there's a lot of good YouTube channels out there too for writing and promoting. I know there's if I can find Jenna Moressi's channel, she's got some good stuff.
And Benicia Literary Arts has a YouTube channel and we can put this video on it. When we're,
Oh, we
when
did?
we're
Oh,
done.
good.
Yeah.
Good for us.
oh,
Great. So any last things? Thank you all for coming, everybody here. It's always wonderful to be in a community of writers and readers, and every opportunity is a choice one. Thank you
definitely.
again, Karen and Wayne. Thank you so much. Another
job.
round.
Yes, it was good to
Thank you.
Good.
good to see you on a not Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Good to see writers not on.
Pre-Thursday gaming.
Yes, I look forward to seeing all my writing pals this Thursday.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes, which I'm so glad because now it's okay. So I was counting down 4 months to go until June, and now it's going to be
Yeah.
ever shrinking. I teach
you all.
7th grade at a
Thank you
different,
all
at a
very
different
much.
school, so.
Good to see you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Good to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.